Hello, so my name is Carolyn Herzog and I am the EVP and General Counsel of ARM Limited. We are the world's leading semiconductor IP company headquartered in Cambridge, UK.
My name is Roelien van Eck. I'm a partner at the law firm Bird & Bird and I specialize in information technology law. So Carolyn, we're here to talk about artificial intelligence. Why do you think it's important to discuss ethics in connection with AI?
Thanks. It's actually one of my favorite topics these days because I think it's something that a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we really weren't talking about, but these days it's become a topic that's really on a lot of people's minds. I think it's incredibly important to talk about the ethics behind the technology because, like many disruptive technologies, artificial intelligence is something that a lot of people really don't know a lot about. It's not only a disruptive technology, but much like the data revolution that I think everybody can accept is here upon us. We're seeing these multitudes of opportunities for data to replicate itself. Artificial intelligence is absolutely, without a doubt, the next wave of disruptive technology that's in front of us. And with these kinds of disruptive technologies, there's a lot that we don't know around what the technology can do. And so naturally, there's no way for regulation to keep up with where the technology can go. And with artificial intelligence, in part because of the media that has precluded these kinds of technology, whether it's Minority Report or the Terminator, there's a lot of fear around what this technology can potentially do. And in fact, artificial intelligence has been used for many years and it's being used in our everyday lives, but it is not regulated in many ways. And the thinking behind ethics is that it's an opportunity to leverage the power of the technology companies that are creating this technology and to use the cultural norms that drive pre-regulation and to look at ethics as this potential driver for pre-regulation. Ultimately, if we have too much fragmentation of regulation, AI technology can't be adopted and it can't be used for the potential good that I think it can be used for and is being used for. We have some regulation that's already there. So you have obviously the GDPR regulation that exists in terms of managing the data that really fuels the AI technology. But we're starting to see some fragmentation of regulation around the management of data. And certainly in the United States, we have recently the California regulation that's come out, but we don't have a federal regulation that mandates how data privacy regulations are going to be used in the United States. And if you compare that with, for instance, how AI is being used in China, we potentially have a competitive situation where Western societies are going to lose competitively. There's just an opportunity for AI to be used for incredible good. I think it was Gina Rometty who said that if we think more about this artificial intelligence opportunity and the technology as an augmentation of opportunity and using the opportunity for technology to allow humans to do more good and to enable humans to do more good rather than the artificial intelligence itself taking over humanity. That's the mindset that I think we want to take.
Yeah. So you think that the impact of AI can not lessen, but actually enhance sort of the human experience and what people can do using the technology without the technology taking over the humans?
Absolutely, and you see this in places like healthcare. If you think about a physician who has the opportunity to conduct a surgery or to diagnose a patient and has the power of artificial intelligence and leveraging that data to know more about the potential disease or the potential impact on a particular patient, then wouldn't I want that physician to, before they operate on me or before they diagnose me, to have the benefit of all that knowledge versus not having that knowledge. I think there's this potential for incredible good, and yet you do want certain controls around these issues as well. And when you think about the ethical considerations around where things could go wrong, the more that we are banding together to bring great minds and thought leadership around that potential harm and create something of a peer pressure environment around that, we can start to build frameworks around what are the things that we think should be the most fundamental design elements and use elements from an ethical framework, which obviously, there are cultural norms that vary between countries, between societies, but yet this framework could be something that really puts some very strong controls in place that would help ultimately regulators decide what are the most critical and severe potential wrong impacts that could come out of this kind of technology. Where should we focus on regulation first rather than try to over-regulate and fragment regulation because of the fear factors that come?
Should we be afraid of the black box? That's actually a very good question. I think one of the main issues that's being discussed around AI is the black box thinking. We're not really sure what goes in and what comes out, certainly in self-learning systems. And the issue is really one about trust. Do we as humans trust certain decision making to be left to technology? I think it's fairly commonly accepted that technology in many ways makes better decisions than humans. On the other hand, humans are quite afraid to let go of the final say. For instance, when you're talking about self-driving cars or even airplanes, a lot can be done by technology, but regulation and operational systems are still reliant on a human being making the final decision.
Yeah, ultimately, the black box is this, even if you think about it conceptually, it's this system where people are concerned that they don't know what's happening inside the black box. And if you think about airplanes, as Roelien said, when something bad has happened with an airplane, and obviously airplanes are self-driving all the time, but yet we're concerned about what happens with a self-driving car. When something bad happens, the first thing that happens is that we go to the black box to find out what's the story and what happened, what went wrong. And that's effectively what we want to see with artificial intelligence. Fundamentally at ARM, we believe that the transparency and explainability aspects of the black box are critical. People want to know what decisions did the AI make in order to achieve the outcome. If there's a recommendation that comes from the algorithm, ultimately, it was a human that designed the algorithm, not the black box itself. And so if we go back to the black box and can say, how did the black box come to this decision? I want to know whether or not I agree with it, but ultimately, how did the design and the algorithm come to that decision? It's the transparency behind that algorithm and the explainability that ultimately will create some kind of accountability and saying, are we comfortable with that? Are we secure in that? Because people don't feel comfortable that a machine would make a decision without understanding the human element behind that algorithm and knowing whether or not does that have to be changed, does that have to be tweaked? Are we ultimately happy with, again, the ethics and the morality behind how that decision was made?
And certainly in a legal setting, it's very important to make sure that certain basic legal tenets are followed. So is it possible to know how a system came to a certain conclusion? So the motivation, verifiability of certain outcomes. I think for the acceptance of AI, that becomes more and more important to make sure that certain aspects, and that also comes back to ethics, fairness, things like that, those have to be guaranteed, I think.
Without a doubt, there should be job training. I think the questions around where job training should focus are around where there's potential displacement of jobs. And with whether it comes from the Industrial Revolution to new technologies today, and we've seen this in the textile industry, we've seen this in multiple industries, new technologies don't necessarily completely displace jobs or not create jobs. You want to think about where the future of jobs will be. And one of the interesting theories, which may be frightening to some, but maybe encouraging to others, is that the possibility of AI is that it actually, again, helps to enhance the human experience. And so things that AI is doing already today, and you think about the legal profession, e-discovery, contracts management tools, it's creating the opportunity for people like us to be more efficient. So if you think about the change in the legal profession, absolutely the legal profession is going to change. It's not going to completely displace lawyers, but it could potentially change the value of what lawyers do. It could also change the value of what engineers do or doctors do. It could be that the future of jobs is more of a caring nation, and it could be that what we pay people to do today could be something different in the future. And so I absolutely think there has to be training. Some of it is going to be around STEM, but some of it could be around other jobs where AI is enhancing the opportunity for some folks to be more efficient, and that's creating new opportunities for other jobs in the market.
Yeah, I think that the value adds that people can bring to technology will change, and therefore I don't think that there will be less jobs, but there will be different jobs, and people certainly need training to be prepared for those types of new tasks that they're going to be confronted with, but where the human experience, so to speak, the elements that the human touch can bring will be of major importance. I'm Roelien van Eck from Bird & Bird.
And I'm Carolyn Herzog from ARM Limited, and that was our discussion around the ethics of artificial intelligence.